afternoon once again.
Very good afternoon to you all, ladies. Thanks a lot, Hazel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll just want to just say just a little bit about Vijay. He is the founder of the Indian Academy of Entrepreneurship, and they've got branches in the United Kingdom, Nigeria, and India. And he's doing phenomenal projects empowering women. And he's collaborated with Herrington Publications, and we've partnered on a lot of projects. And look out for those in 2022. Vijay, the platform is yours.
Thank you, Hazel. Let me must start by complimenting each lady's knowledge powerhouse, and it has been such an enlightening morning for me from India. Currently, I'm operating from India, starting from Nolene, Veronica, Linda, Kathy, all you ladies, and of course, Hazel have been playing such an important role in enlightening me as an entrepreneur, as an institution builder. So thanks a lot for the opportunity. So, gentlemen and ladies, we have got with us 4 knowledge power ladies from around the world. To start with, I'll just introduce these ladies. Jules Brooke, she's the boss for all of us, at least for me to begin with. She happens to be running her own PR company. She's a SaaS company owner. She is the CEO for one of the PR branding companies. So she is going to be leading this right at the beginning as one of the leading speakers. Thereafter, we have got Lumbee Malambo. She is the CEO and founder of JB Donald Dondolo. Third, we have got with us Annie Gibbins, transformation queen. And the fourth one is Naila Qazi from Canada. So all you ladies, you're most welcome in our session. And to begin with, I would invite Honorable Jules to start and enlighten us with her knowledge and experience in terms of biases and barriers which are there in order to build in this women leadership in and around the world. Jules, all yours.
Thank you so much, Vijay. And I just want to say thank you again to the amazing Hazel Herrington for putting this together and to Herrington Publications Worldwide. I really appreciate the opportunity. Now, today I want to talk about women in the media and barriers for female founders, because there are a lot of them. And I very much work in the entrepreneurial space with women. I thought I would start off with a quote from Forbes magazine from only a couple of years ago, where they are saying the failure to make female founders more visible in media as the relatable, aspirational role models they are risks letting down the next generation of women, because their problem is not a lack of talent or ambition, it's a lack of representation. If we can't see them, we can't aspire towards it. So I really want to address that point. There is a global movement for change at the moment, and Hazel has so beautifully tapped into it, and all the incredible women in this group are tapping into it too, but it is definitely going on. There is an economic and social need for women to be in more senior roles, and this is something that we really need to see happen. I thought I might tell you a few stats that I sort of have stumbled over the last 18 months that have absolutely put a fire in my belly to make change. The first one, and this is an extraordinary fact, and if you're not a female founder, you may not be aware of it, but venture capital funding, which is the money that goes to organizations to really scale them, it's the multi-million dollar investments. Only 2% of VC funding goes to female-founded businesses. Now, this is consistently around the world. It moves between 4 to 1%, but quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, it might as well not be happening. I mean, 2% is so tiny. So that is one of the huge barriers for women, access to money. In the US, 42% of business owners are women. And that's growing at double the rate of all other businesses. So 44% is the norm across all businesses. 114% is the growth rate for women-led businesses. And the other really interesting fact is that the average age of women-led startups, and you actually only need to look through this group of speakers to see this, are 45 and above. And we're always being told about young women and young women startups and entrepreneurs are for young people, but that is actually not true, and that's not what's happening. In the UK, in 2017, only 17% of businesses were owned by women. 4 years later, that's at 32%. And, you know, again, we can see that this thing is happening. And I think it's probably happening because of the flexibility that women need. And I think the pandemic has really rammed home the importance of having flexibility. If you're going to be a woman, you want to run a business, you also want to be there for your family and your children, or for your friends, or for your larger family. So you need flexibility in order to do that. In Australia, which is my home country, women-led businesses make up to 34% of all businesses, and 44% of Aussie business owners are women 40 to 54. So again, we're seeing this trend that it's older women that are starting businesses, not the youngies. Not that there's anything wrong with the youngies, and we obviously want to support them, but we need the older women to be there as role models as well. There are only a couple of TV shows around the world that focus on women in business, particularly female founders and entrepreneurial women. But that's, when I say a couple, I mean two, one of which was in Norway and I think has closed down because of the pandemic. So basically, female founders and women in business are almost invisible at the most powerful form of media there is, which is television. TV presenters globally are a majority of men. Now, I wouldn't think that that surprises anyone. There's a 60-40 split roughly. But we all have this inherent belief perpetuated by the television that the women that are on television have to be particularly attractive and young. Again, not at all representative of what is going on in the real world. So we need to see change happen, and we need to see it happen fast. Now, I had the delight of interviewing the wonderful Miriam Gonzalez recently, who's the founder of Inspiring Girls in the UK. And you may all have seen that incredible hashtag leading up to International Day of the Girl that was all over LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And the hashtag was "This Little Girl Is Me." And it was all about showing and creating role models for younger women to see, this is what I was like as a little girl, and this is the woman I've become. Miriam said in this fantastic quote that we know that by the age of 6, children are beginning to classify jobs along gender lines. So it's at 6 that girls start going, I want to be a teacher or a nurse or something that's very nurturing. And men are going, I want to be, you know, an astronaut or a train driver, or all those sort of boy and girl roles. So that's how young that's happening. By the age of 12, 50% of young girls aspire to gender stereotyped roles because they are not seeing the full gamut of what women can do. So where are the business role models for young girls? Where can they see normal, diverse women in authority roles in the media? And I'm not saying that women don't appear in the media, but they are rarely the host of the show. They are often the sidekick, is the way I want to call it, which is maybe not totally fair, but ultimately we need women to be in those roles where they're leading the shows so that people understand that women can be leaders. In Australia, 100% of the free-to-air television program directors, get this, are white Anglo-Saxon men over 50, 100%. Now, I would say that that probably plays out. I think Australia is pretty much lagging the rest of the world, but those stats would be not hugely different in other countries around the world. So no wonder we're not seeing these women, because the people making the decisions about what we see are not women. We desperately need to see more mature business women on television. We need to see more successful women in the media globally. And that's one of the reasons Vijay alluded to the fact that I have been teaching people PR for a long time. But one of the reasons that I love working with women is you need to push yourselves forward, not because you're fabulous and you're trying to tell everyone how great you are from a narcissistic point of view, because we need role models for the young girls. Women need support. In fact, research tells us that women are far more successful if they support each other. Over the last 18 months, I've interviewed over 150 female founders across many, many industries. And one thing that's really common to all of them is the impact they want to make. So women who own businesses want to make change happen. They want to have a positive impact on the rest of the world. They are not in it for the money, they're in it for the impact and the legacy that they can leave. And that is a very, very different dynamic to what's going on in business at the moment. Women-led businesses all tend to give back. They want to drive change and they want to benefit their communities. And that is a huge reason why we should be supporting having women in business and supporting making them more visible. So now I was going to tell you a very quick story, but I think we might have I've talked longer than I thought I would. So I want to leave you with a couple of things. I want to tell you that we all need to support each other. As women, we must lift each other up. And that way we will all rise together and we will all be able to make the change happen that needs to happen. It's not that we want to see happen, it must happen. My favorite motto is be that person that mentions someone else's name in a room full of opportunities, which basically means start doing favors for other women, start mentioning their names, start trying to give them a leg up, because everyone that you help will make all of us rise together in a much stronger way. And as Madeleine Albright once famously said, there is a special place in hell for women that don't help other women. And that is absolutely what I believe. We must help each other. We've got to stop competing and we need to collaborate and rise together. So what can you do to make women more visible in the media?
Shouting. You need to belittle this thing in terms of timing. We'll bring you some questions and then you can continue for a little while, please.
Thank you. Sorry, BJ, was that about me? What did you say? You want me to what? Ask more questions.
In terms of timing, it's only 8 minutes. So we also would be bringing in some questions to you so you can carry on from there. If at all your presentation is over.
Yes, my presentation is over.
Yeah, please. So thanks a lot, Jules. It has been a mind-blowing presentation from your side and the kind of enlightening thoughts coming to us, to the audience from around the world. And it has been an addition, it looks like an addition of what Linda spoke about in terms of funding. And that is where I welcome Jules, I welcome Linda to form a team and a group of with International Academy of Entrepreneurship and Employability to take care of women entrepreneurs all around the world. I'm not talking in particular about Australian women entrepreneur or American women entrepreneurs. Just to give an example, Jewel, we have got recently, we have got a lady in India who happens to be 58 years old lady who launched a brand, who has been working in this space since last couple of years. And today she has become the third richest billionaire lady on her own at the age of 58 in India. So the
fantastic.
So the question for you, why do we think, why we are creating these kind of biases and barriers for women in terms of funding their enterprises? Why? What is the reason? Why don't they get the fund? Please.
Okay, two main reasons. One is that most VCs are men as well. So venture capitalists in general, about 88% of them are men, I think. There's a very small percentage of women making decisions around women's businesses. And of course, we've talked about the fact that women want to create impact. So for a lot of them, they want to create impact in areas that they understand and they know. But most VCs wouldn't understand anything about mums, wouldn't understand why women are trying to drive this kind of thing. The other thing is, I believe that women are not pushing themselves forward. So we have this problem where women don't put themselves forward because they automatically think that they don't qualify or that they won't qualify, whereas men don't seem to worry about that as much. So it's a classic thing that you often hear about with jobs, that men will go for jobs if they've got about 30% of the skills. They'll say, I'll give it a go. Women get to 85%, 90% of the skills, and they're like, I'm missing 10%. I don't know whether I can apply for that role. It's the same thing. I think women are feeling like they can't really ask for that sort of money. And amongst women, female founders, there does seem to be a kind of medal that they get awarded for starting with very low amounts of money, which is something that most men don't necessarily
Brilliant.
think.
Brilliant. So it sounds really good. Thanks a lot, Jules, for being with
That's
us.
okay.
Thank you. So now we go to our second speaker, lady speaker, uh, Lumbee Malambo. She is the CEO founder at JB Dondolo Incorporation. She is Global Goodwill Ambassador, UN Global Leader, UNA USA Global Goals Ambassador, UNA Women member of Forbes Women Forum, Global Citizen Forum. So she is the powerhouse. So we are going to listen very carefully about her thoughts and opinion towards the biases and barriers which we are facing in our day-to-day life for our women folk. Over to Lumbee. Lumbee, you are most welcome to enlighten us with your thoughts and insights to all our audience and to honorable speakers. Please, over to you, Lumbee. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that great introduction. I really appreciate that. I want to say thank you to Hazel Herrington and Herrington Publications Worldwide. Thank you so much for having me on here to share my thoughts, views, and opinions. I'm really excited, and that's a great introduction of me. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to skip that introduction because I had it also on my part. So, but I'm here to talk about elevating women to amplify voices. I'm talking about women and girls and the water crisis issues, especially today. In the world we live in, the digital age. I say today because in this day and age, we really should not be talking about these type of issues that are human-made, issues that are putting women and girls so far behind and widening the gender equality gap. So the ethical issues that women and girls face with water can be helped in the digital age. We just need to have more voices like we do when we say that it takes a village to raise a child. Yes, because even people living in the hardest hit and hardest to reach areas, and I mean like the rural areas where the communities are underserved and impoverished, it is possible to elevate women. If they can have a cell phone, they can have Wi-Fi, they can connect, right? So already there's some level of technology. So we just need to kind of tap into that technology and see what we need to do to fully integrate with the water so that everything is in sync. So I stumbled upon water accidentally while I was working in a clinic at Iguazu in Zimbabwe. I was there to understand more about the issues that the clinic had. They needed to extend the maternity wing and so that women could have the delivery beds and recovery beds. And this was my father's project. And it was his dying wish to fulfill the promise to refurbish the clinics and restore women's dignity. To my surprise, the clinic seemed to not want the refurbishment of the clinic itself. That's the staff. In fact, they kind of felt sorry for me. And in their attempt to make me, to do a favor for me, they asked for clean water instead. So they said, give us the clean water and leave us. And that's all they wanted. We don't want the clinic. And since I was really quite naive and young, I accepted their proposal because I thought providing water was such an easy thing. I mean, literally, I could have done that like in one day or two. So I accepted the offer and I told them I was going to just get them water and be back the next day. But I kind of felt guilty, walking away. I felt like I was walking away from my father's promise. So I asked, so if I give you water first, would you then allow me to refurbish the clinic? They accepted. Little did I know that there is so much to understand about water and how to make it available. You see, the drought is what, was the climate actually was caused, the climate change was caused by the drought problems. So you'll find that mostly women and girls in underserved and impoverished communities are the ones impacted. At one of my organization's projects in Matobo Hills, they walk miles away, like 9 miles to 18 miles to fetch water, as a family. So since this task takes about, a considerable amount of time throughout the day. So women can't really do anything else other than just fetch water and cook. And the next day they do the same thing. So how can girls go to school when they have to assist with the collection of water? And at school, there are no facilities for girls, to have water to care for themselves, especially during menstruation periods. It's humiliating, it's degrading for girls. Lack of education puts them deep into poverty, and gender equality gap widens. So we need to have empathy and walk in their shoes. We complain about the lack of water for a day, and these girls, will go without water for months. So their health is compromised, and women hardly carry unborn babies full term. And even if they do, the baby dies, within a few hours. So plain and simple, water is a humanitarian right. Everyone deserves that equal access to clean water. Just consider the role a woman plays. Women are just as equally likely to play a pivotal role in designing technologies that will shape the future of the world. So we just need to be given that equal space to play. And that means we need to have to be incredibly talented and have that powerful influence that will push forward the equality gap, gender equality, and close the gap. We need to develop strategies that meet the needs of the most vulnerable people to promote general policies that focus on activating women's role and empowering them socially and culturally. So we need to be incredibly effective as change makers and innovators to create different kinds of opportunities for women and girls in underserved and in impoverished communities. We need to make gender equality our agenda and use whatever influences and platforms we have to have those voices and to make our voices heard, amplify women's voices. We need to work together collectively, public, private, all sectors must come together and address the issues that women face. Plain and simple, let us all have a seat at the table. Men, women, children, transgender, all kinds of people together at the table. So how does the world water crisis affect girls? It's very complex. You'll find that the UN says 2.2 billion people have no access to clean water. And that's like over half of the global population. About 4.2 billion people lack access to water and sanitation. Wow, that is a lot. That is way too much. Here's how women and girls can benefit. If you empower a woman with water, she can change the world. Giving women and girls hope means that the whole family lives a healthy and fulfilled life. So increasing water abundance means that we create new opportunities. So I want to leave you with this final thought today, something for you to think about. If we give those who have spoken a platform to speak, you will be surprised what great ideas they have. Just because they may not be educated or fluent in their speech doesn't mean that they don't have ideas that could change the world. And that, by the way, was said by me, Lumbee Malambo. So thank you so much for giving me this platform to share my views and my knowledge.
Thank you,
Hazel.
Lumbee. Thank you. It was a great honor for each one of us to hear from you about the need of basic thing, that is water, of which each one of us as a human being are made up of, and majority of the things which is lying there inside our bodies of water. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Lumbee. So we look forward to give you some questions in times to come. So guys, folks, we have got our third speaker, a lady power, Annie Gibbons. Annie Gibbons, she happens to be known as Transformation Queen. And of course, going through her profile, I realized that she also is a women business incubator, global women's empowerment coach, executive magician, and 10x success activator, online coaching academy founder, keynote speaker, podcast host, and best-selling author as well. So over to Annie Gibbins to enlighten us with her thoughts in terms of biases and barrier in women leadership. Annie, all yours. And I would really appreciate if you can please stick to your time for another 5-6 minutes so that we go to Naila, get ourselves enlightened, and thereafter we have a small question session. Thank you, Annie. Please.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vijay. Thank you, Hazel and Herrington Publications. It's such an honour to be speaking amongst such esteemed colleagues, and I'm overjoyed to be able to share with you today. The reason I founded the Women's Business Incubator and Life by Design was to help women achieve financial independence and the freedom and confidence that it brings them to make personal and professional decisions that then bring them safety and security, health, education, and the opportunity to be positioned at tables where their value is respected and their ability to influence change and make a difference is supported and encouraged. You know, when I was a little girl, my grandmothers inspired me to dream big and act bigger. And this was a requirement that they needed to navigate war and poverty, gender discrimination, biases and barriers that still take my breath away for them. And because I know women around the world are still battling the impact of these significant challenges today. In their elderly years, my grandmothers both shared that their biggest disappointments were not being able to reach their full potential. You know, and we all have that moment. Who was I truly born to be? You know, they were both leaders. We all are. They both needed the opportunity to flourish, and we all do. And women around the world deserve that. The world needs women to be provided a framework where their true essence can be realized. The sooner we understand the lack of women in leadership roles is holding not only women back, but all people back. That's when we will realize how to advance society as a whole. So I learned from them that you don't just ask for what you expect, because you'll always be disappointed. You actually ask for what you want. You work hard for what you want. You fight for what you want, and you don't stop. And that's what we're doing with this wonderful, wonderful summit today. We're telling you, press on, ladies and gentlemen, let's unite. You know, they were strong women, intelligent, capable women, and we represent those women. We are the change makers. We do not aim low in our expectations. We are not prepared to settle for less because the outcome, the best outcome for humanity is if we rise up together. So how do I empower you to believe in yourself and put your hand up for opportunities and to take your seat at the leadership table? Of course, dream big and act bigger. You know, believe in a greater vision of what is truly possible, and then act boldly and consistently to ensure intentional change happens. Intentional change can happen when we're in positions of power to make and influence decision making. And as 50% of the population, we should represent 50% of the power to influence. We should not be asking for permission. We should be unapologetically claiming our rightful place at these tables in government, business, STEM, health, education, the military. If there is not a door for you to open, you need to start creating your own doors, and we will help you. As a business coach, I see that the 5 key challenges that I see facing women in leadership are not being treated equally, not being comfortable advocating on their own, trusting their own voices, building alliances, and suffering from that dreaded imposter syndrome. So what is the solution? I believe the roadmap to overcoming the biases and barriers that adversely affect the quality of global leadership and therefore the future of our planet lie in these 5 key areas: awareness, access, education, connections, and mentoring. No surprises, they reflect the essence of what my grandmothers taught me. Awareness. We need to be aware of the statistics that have been shared by my fellow speakers today. Statistics that are not okay. You know, women comprise 47.4% of all employed persons in Australia here. However, their weekly earnings are 14.2% less and 15 to 20% less if you're in the corporate sector. Women only hold 14.6% of chair positions, 28% of directorships, 18% of CEO roles, and a much lower percent for key high-level corporate CEO positions. 32% of key management personnel, 33% of directors on ASX listed businesses represent women. So not only do we have to be aware of those facts, we need to encourage diversity and inclusion. We don't just want to get to that 50%. We want those voices heard. The most important thing is getting to that level, making that the norm, and then making sure that all voices are heard. And the research shows us overwhelmingly that it's good for the bottom line. It's good financially, culturally, with conflict resolution. There are so many positives that support having women in equal positions. Looking at access, we need to encourage women to access education, jobs, positions. And I totally agree with our other speakers today. Help them access those positions. Tell them about opportunities. I've been thrilled by the networks that I've had to be given this opportunity today. We need to be flexible around work. As a CEO, and I was a mum of 5, including 2 sets of twins 2 years apart, I navigated 3 degrees around a massive family with everyone throughout my career telling me that all my ideas were crazy and that I was dreaming and that they were not going to be possible. And even when I stepped into that, I got told that it's going to be challenging if you're going to be a good mum and how you're going to raise them properly. Things of that nature. So it's because of the pioneering work that we've done and my grandmothers before me that now as a CEO, and I challenge CEOs around the world to actually say, be flexible, be supportive about women in work, accessing opportunities. That's why I've got an online platform so women can do it in real time in their own way in a very cost-effective manner. We need to educate, we need to encourage from certificates to PhD, value training, value long life learning, connections we've heard talked about today. We need to build alliances. Our network is our net worth, and we have so many connections. If you don't have a tribe, go online and find a tribe. Join us, reach out to us. There are people around the world, men and women, who are more than happy to connect with you and help you. And the most important fact, point 5, is mentoring. I challenge my women around the globe to let's rise up and unite. We need to collaborate over compete. We need to help these women coming up, my daughters, your daughters, women in our communities, to make sure that we share our shared learnings, that we help them, that we advocate on their behalf, and then we help them how to do that themselves. We build up their confidence, that they will trust in us and then learn to trust themselves, that they will speak their voice so that they will claim their equal value at the tables that they need to dine at. That's what Ruth Ginsburg taught us. That's what Malala taught us. That's what Kamala Harris showed us. We need to be positioning ourselves in environments where we can influence. And if you're wanting one of those positions, you need to lean in and, like Kathy says, let that fish jump into the next pond. And it's scary and you have to be brave. But if you want change, if you need change, you cannot just hope. You must be intentional with your actions. And the key to tackling challenges we face is ensuring that the women are at the table, making these decisions, making powerful, influential moves. We need to show up, we need to step up, we need to be unwavering in our voice. And then we will truly be known, liked, trusted, that we will be in positions of influences. Global peace, stability, and sustainability depends on our collaborative voice and action. And I get to enjoy that every day. I'm also the CEO of an eye health charity. I get to help collaborate with senior leaders across the country to help people save sight. We get to do impossible things, seemingly possible things, like the magic dust. Absolutely true. When you unite and you position yourself, incredible, amazing, mind-boggling things happen, and that will be good for the world, and definitely it'll be good for women in leadership.
Wonderful, 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 Annie. It was, in fact, it went me back to the complete institution building process on which I have been working close to 3 decades now. I think the best solution of this, what most of the lady speakers are talking about, is to incorporate gender education right from school, right from early childhood. And therefore, now we are going to a lady who happens to be coming in from Canada, Naila Qazi, and she is the one who has also been working in the space of curriculum building, and professionals and ladies, entrepreneurs like all of you together, we can work towards uh, we can work towards establishing a curriculum for gender education right from the beginning, so that by the time our children reach to that level, they don't have those kind of biases and barriers coming in their way to excel in their life. So here we have got, thank you, Annie. Thanks a lot for being with us. And we'll take up some of those questions from the audience or from our other speakers at a later stage. So we have got now another speaker, Miss Naila Qazi. She is a HR professional, technology transformer, finance transformation. And of course, she happens to be organization assessment expert, qualitative and quantitative data analysis. And I'm sure she is also a HR a professional. So over to Naila. Naila, we would like to have you with us to enlighten each one of us with your thoughts in terms of biases and barriers for women leadership.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Awesome. Thank you so much, Vijay. Thanks, Hazel. Awesome opportunity. I'm very, very excited to be here. And thank you so much, all our audience. Like this chat looks very hot. Like it's all kind of, everyone is typing and everyone is engaged. Thanks, guys. A good afternoon, good evening. For me, it's close to midnight. So very, very excited to be here. And each one of you speakers have been so electrifying. Like all those messages are really touching my heart. And I think some of the messages were so profound that I just had tears in my eyes. So I think we all touched on some of the key elements of the topic. And I think one theme which consistently I've seen each speaker touching on in their own way is really believing in yourself. I think when Veronica talked about the responsibility lies with you, when Hazel, you reiterated that is fear of failure which keeps women behind, I would say it's not as such fear of failure, yes, but it's also fear of being judged by your failure. So that keeps women not to try. And then what Jules, like my friend said, that women don't put themselves out there. So that's why we don't see many women entrepreneurs, not many startups led by women. So I just take a step back and talk about self-leadership. And I think I made my post today as well, like the barriers and biases, if everything is equal, if we all have access to water, if all girls have equal opportunities, then why some of the women and some of the girls emerge as leaders within the same circumstances and majority does not? So I grew up in a small village in a quite underprivileged area in Pakistan. As a young child, I have to do everything, the chores, the water fetching, and doing all that work before I was allowed to touch my books, which was, I really wanted to do, educate myself. But one thing which was very, very clear to me, even at my age, like 6 to 8, that I don't want an average life. So somehow I believed in my strengths. Somehow, I don't know, it was a stronger belief in me, really break the barriers in a way when I would model those rural women who were leaders. So everything equal, some women emerged as leaders and some women did not try, like they would either negative self-talk, very, very negative in criticizing others, for example. And we all discussed all those, that's not being responsible with their own goals, not being clear what they want to achieve in life. And it's strange to observe the same behavior in the corporate world and also in the entrepreneur world. So I deal with both kind of women, the one who are within their corporates. I have around 20 years of experience working in large corporates in Australia, Canada, and US. And I also mentor and coach startup. I have a couple of startups of my own. But what I see that we all talk about seat at the table, but trust me, I have observed it many times that given seat at the table, the opportunity is not being utilized. I have seen sometime that you invite those women and you ask them, hey, like just come, like sit in the front, and you would see they have tendency to either sit at the back or the side chairs, you know how they are extra chairs. So they would really, really avoid. So they really don't use that opportunity. And what's the reason now, where that come from? I have been a very keen observer of these behaviors, really listening and talking to men and women, really seeing some women amazing role models, having amazing growth in their careers, amazing growth in their businesses. But what really drives them? I have struggled myself at some stage with some anxiety. At some stage, I was very depressed. So I took keen interest in my own health and did some studies in neuroscience. And that's what I wanted to share, like 4 key things about women, how they are wired. Women generally have a larger limbic system. So it's not that we're not motivated. It's not that women don't have drive. It's not that because some girls don't have access to some opportunities, they can't really break through. It's because we are wired by nature, and it's not me or it's not a funny fact. It's science, it's neuroscience, that women have bigger limbic system, which is the powerhouse of our emotions. So what does that do? That do 4 things to us. Number 1, because we have larger limbic system compared to men, be more collaborative, which is very good because it helps us to build communities, nurture families, and bond. But there is a dark side to that. Our collaboration leads us on the darker side to a point where we really are not a good decision maker. We tend to really rely on agreement seeking. We really want everyone to say yes to that, and we won't take that first step until we get that seal of approval. The second quality which women have, and I call it a gift, they have self-control, which is great because it keeps them away from troubles and they focus, they're results driven. But now look at the darker side, and which we see lots of women doing, we do sometime ourselves, that we become so focused and so narrow-minded that delegation becomes an issue for us. And I've observed that in corporate career, I've observed women running businesses. We try to do everything ourselves. Like we have families, we have parents we're looking after, aging relatives we're looking after, and then we're trying to do everything ourselves in our businesses and in our careers as well. So that self-control then morphs into that darkness, and it does not really lead us to success. The third, again, it's naturally the way we are wired, is our empathy. So women are empathic by nature, which is great because we are able to nurture family, care for kids, care for communities. But there's the darker side to empathy, and that's the cost of our own health. So we would like to take care of everybody else other than our own selves. And that's very detrimental because then we burn out. We don't make good decisions because we so much tired. We overwork all the time because we have that empathy and we feel for everybody. And the last one is my favorite, and that's intuition. Now look at being intuitive really helps us because we could foresee things which others don't. Like my husband, for example, he sometimes thinks maybe I have 2 eyes at the back of my head as well, because how could I see that? And he couldn't see, right? So we do that and we're very, very successful in seeing those situations. Well, look at how darker it becomes. And almost each one of us we have gone through that, right? Remember the time when we have struggled that we're not good enough. That enoughness, like we don't belong enough. We're not ready enough. We wouldn't come out and make a good business decision until we are not ready enough. So for our preparatory call, we were talking like Jules, Lumbie and I were discussing that how famous research, you all may be familiar with that women don't apply for a job until they tick box the 95% of qualification they qualify, whereas a man would come 35%, he would say, yes, I qualified. And not only that, they go in and they discuss their raise as well. I remember early on in our career, we used to live in Melbourne, Australia. We had a chain of restaurants. And I remember early on in those negotiations, I want to do my MBA so I could be better at negotiation and business. Whereas my husband, equally inexperienced in that industry, would just go in with great confidence and manage a deal. I don't want to share what was the outcome of those deals, but hey, that was the difference in behavior, right? I wanted more training because I thought I'm not good enough at negotiating those deals, whereas not even once he thought, right? So what I would like to sum up with all these messaging that we really need to look at that self-talk which we do to ourselves. And again, that negative self-talk, the negative chatter, the not enough talk which we have with ourselves really need to be transformed. And we're all capable of transformation. We all have done this many times. And not only we need to transform ourselves, but all those girls and women out there who need our help as well. What I believe that through these forums, through these channels, we really need to be focusing on reaching out to those people. So don't suffer in isolation. I did that. I've seen some women who are very close to me. They suffered in that silence of their loneliness. Let's turn it into connection. Let's turn it into freedom. Let's turn it into power. So we're not alone in this. We all connected. Technology just allows us. These people are always there to help you, to support you. And as Lumbee said, like, imagine those women who don't even have access to really basic needs, but some of us have everything, but we still lack that power of belief. So I would just end on that. We're wired to feel in a certain way. We are wired to feel, to be more depressed. We're wired to feel really having our emotion overtake us. But hey, we have the knowledge and we have the understanding now. Why not to make good decisions? Why not to have that power of belief overrule us rather than our negative emotions and negative chatter, which we sometimes get succumbed to?
Absolutely phenomenal, Naila. Thanks a lot for giving us so much of power through your knowledge, your experience. So this entire conversation between all four speakers and me takes me back to one question to all four of you, and the answer timing is going to be only 1 minute. That is, what is the age of these types of biases and barriers coming on way to women leadership? How old is it? Is it new as a phenomenon? Is it old? It has been persisting and existing since ages. So what is that? 1 minute time, ladies. 1 to 1.5 minutes time. I'll take a grace, Hazel, to be answered from my four honorable lady speakers. Please go ahead. Anyone?
I'll take 10 seconds so my other fellows can have a minute. So you said aging, how old this phenomenon has been. I think there is a noise. Someone needs to unmute themselves. So Vijay, you said how old this phenomenon has been. I think, like, if I look at my grandmother, she was a very weak woman, right? But I see her always negative. I see her always not trusting. And it showed in everything. It showed in her love, in her relationship with people, with her marriage and everything. But on the other hand, Annie Gibbins constantly have been talking about her grandmother, who obviously is a role model. So that lady stood up as a role model for that. Annie is today talking about her, right? So I would say it really goes back to each generation. And no matter what context, what culture, no matter how you were born, no matter where you're raised, you still see stronger women, and you still see women who really don't want to take action.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on.
I'm quite happy to share. So yes, I totally agree. I think it's been just the fabric of society and the way that we've seen gender roles actually over, millennia, really, of women actually being the home maintainers and raising families, and men in business. And so therefore women have always been leaders. We're managing these massive households like like an army. I mean, you have a lot of children in there, you're managing budgets and fights and arguments and everything. You just kind of go, well, you are more than capable, but we haven't seen ourselves. It's taken us a very long time to actually see that we can translate and transfer those skills into leadership positions. By doing that, we also have found that we've got ourselves in a sticky situation that we do everything then, and we've burnt ourselves out. And I thank you, Naila, for sharing that. Like, it's overwhelming. And I think that view of, am I enough? We're so more than enough, but we're trying too hard. So it's actually getting to that next level now. And I'm thankful my grandmother showed me that, because I know that so many around the world haven't, and that's what we're doing here today, to actually show you that it's finding that genius zone, that place where you belong, and then finding it, working on an infrastructure that now supports that, that's going to be different to times before us.
Outstanding.
Much, Annie.
So over to Hazel now. I would just like to leave this thing and close this complete session, the second session, on one note for all the ladies, is that if at all we think that it has been there since time immemorial, then how about our Honorable Madam Curie, who was a physicist as well as a chemistry Nobel Prize laureate. So I drop it here and over to Hazel. Thank you, Hazel. Thanks for the opportunity. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you so much, Vijay, and thank you to Jules, Lumbee, Annie, and Naila. Definitely, Lumbee, I agree with you. We need to restore the dignity of women and help them with water. Thank you so much, Jules. I agree with you. We need to start mentioning women's names and helping them to network with others. And we need to stop competing. You're watching this, you're a woman, you can create an opportunity for one of these speakers. Get in touch with them. Together we are stronger and together we can go further. So thank you so much, Jules. I just love you and I think you know that, and she's already been sending clients my way. Thank you so much, Jules. Annie, wow. Annie had me on a show and we had a great time, and she's also been interviewing the other speakers. Thank you so much for empowering the other speakers. And Naila and I have grown so close. We send each other photos on lipstick and nail polish, and that's how powerful this platform is, working together. She's now a very close friend, and thank you so much, Naila, for your friendship and for being a part of this platform.